The neon sign outside Marlowe's diner buzzed softly in the cool autumn night, casting a flickering glow on the damp sidewalk. Inside, the smell of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon lingered in the air as the jukebox hummed an old country tune. For Emma Carter, a 27-year-old waitress, it was just another late shift at the diner. She had been working here for nearly 5 years, ever since her dreams of moving to New York and becoming a journalist had been derailed by life's cruel turns. First, her mother had gotten sick, and then medical bills had drained every penny she had saved. When her mother passed away last year, Emma found herself stuck, too broke to chase dreams, too responsible to walk away from her reality. Tonight was slow. A couple of truckers sat at the corner booth, nursing cups of coffee. A pair of teenagers giggled over milkshakes at the counter. The only sound besides the occasional clink of dishes was the murmur of the radio. Emma sighed, adjusting her apron as she turned toward the door. That's when she saw him walk in. The young man moved with quiet confidence, his tall frame wrapped in a dark hoodie and jeans. He looked around the diner before making his way to a booth near the window, his gaze flickering toward the door as if he were expecting someone. Emma grabbed her notepad and walked over. "Good evening. What can I get for you?" she asked with a polite smile. The young man hesitated for a moment before lowering his hood. That's when Emma's breath caught in her throat. She recognized him instantly. Barron Trump, the son of the sitting U.S. President Donald Trump. Emma swallowed hard, her heart thudding in her chest. She had never waited on someone so famous before. Sure, Marlowe's diner was known for attracting the occasional celebrity passing through town, but this was different. This was the president's son, sitting in her section, staring at the menu like any other diner customer. Barron glanced up, his blue eyes meeting hers. "Hey," he said simply. "I'll have a burger, fries, and a Coke. Please." His voice was polite but reserved, as if he was used to people making a fuss over him. Emma nodded quickly, scribbling down his order. "Coming right up." As she turned to walk away, she felt the weight of the moment settle on her. Here was the son of one of the most powerful men in the world, sitting alone in a small-town diner, ordering a burger like any other kid his age. But what was he doing here? And why was he alone? Emma didn't have time to dwell on it. She hurried back to the kitchen, calling out the order to the cook before glancing back at Barron. He sat quietly, scrolling through his phone, occasionally glancing toward the entrance as if waiting for someone to arrive. Something about his demeanor struck Emma as odd. He wasn't arrogant or demanding like she had assumed someone of his status might be. Instead, he seemed lost. She didn't know why, but something told her this wasn't just an ordinary late-night stop for Barron Trump. And she was about to find out why. Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself as she balanced the tray with Barron's order. As she approached his booth, she noticed he was still glancing toward the entrance. His fingers drummed lightly on the table, betraying an underlying tension. She set the plate down gently. "Here you go. 1 burger, fries, and a Coke." Barron looked up and gave her a small, polite smile. "Thanks." Emma hesitated. Normally, she would walk away after serving a customer, but curiosity gnawed at her. She wasn't the type to pry, but something about Barron's body language told her that he wasn't just here for a meal. "You waiting on someone?" she asked casually, pretending to wipe down the table next to his. He blinked, surprised by her directness, then shook his head. "No, just thinking." Emma nodded, choosing her words carefully. "Well, you picked a good place for that. Marlowe's is known for its world-famous burgers and deep thoughts." She smirked, trying to lighten the mood. To her surprise, Barron chuckled softly. "World-famous, huh? Never heard of it until tonight." Emma grinned. "Hey, give it time. 1 viral TikTok review and we'll have lines out the door." Barron picked up a fry and twirled it between his fingers. "Guess that's how things work these days." Emma noticed how he seemed detached, his mind somewhere else entirely. She decided to take a chance. "Look, I don't mean to be nosy," she said, "but you seem a little off." Barron exhaled, staring down at his plate. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then he spoke. "I just needed to get away," he admitted. "From everything." Emma nodded slowly. She might not have been born into a powerful family, but she knew what it felt like to want to escape. "I get that," she said softly. "Sometimes you just need to breathe, away from all the noise." Barron looked at her, studying her face as if weighing whether he could trust her. After a few seconds, he nodded. "Yeah, exactly." Emma felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. She had always assumed life as the president's son must be glamorous, private jets, luxury vacations, anything money could buy. But looking at Barron now, she realized how isolating it must be. Before she could say anything else, the bell above the diner's door jingled. Emma glanced up instinctively and saw 2 men in suits walk in, scanning the room like hawks. Secret Service. Barron sighed. Guess that's my cue. Emma stepped aside as one of the agents approached the booth. Sir, we should go. Barron nodded but didn't move immediately. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a pen, scribbling something on the check. He placed a few bills on top of it before standing up. Thanks for the burger, he said, his voice genuine. Emma smiled. Anytime. And then just like that he was gone. She watched as Barron and the agents stepped outside, disappearing into a sleek black SUV. The moment felt surreal, like a dream she'd wake up from any second. Shaking her head, she walked over to clear the table. But when she picked up the check, her breath hitched in her throat. There, scrawled in neat handwriting, was a message that made her eyes widen. For your kindness. Check under the plate. Heart-pounding, Emma lifted the plate. And what she saw made her knees go weak. Emma's hands trembled as she lifted the plate. Underneath, neatly stacked, were crisp $100 bills, more money than she had seen in one place in years. She gasped, her pulse quickening. She counted quickly. $10,000. Her knees nearly buckled. Was this real? She stared at the cash, then back at the door where Barron had just exited. The words on the check replayed in her mind. For your kindness. Check under the plate. Emma felt her heart hammer against her ribs. This wasn't a mistake. Barron Trump had just left her a $10,000 tip. The realization hit her like a tidal wave. Emma? She turned to see Frank, the diner's owner, staring at her, his brow furrowed in concern. You okay? He asked. You look like you've seen a ghost. Emma swallowed hard and shakily held up the bills. Frank's eyes widened. Where did? Barron Trump, she whispered, still in shock. He left it for me. Frank let out a low whistle. Well, I'll be damned. A million thoughts raced through Emma's mind. Why would he do this? Was this even real? A part of her wanted to run after Barron to tell him she couldn't accept this. But another part, the part that had been drowning in medical bills, rent payments, and endless worries, knew how much this money would change her life. Her mother's last hospital bill, still looming over her like a dark cloud, could finally be cleared. She could start saving again, maybe even think about going back to school. Tears welled in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly, overwhelmed. Frank clapped her on the shoulder. Looks like you made an impression, kid. Emma let out a shaky laugh. I didn't even do anything special. I just talked to him. Frank smiled knowingly. Sometimes that's all people need. She looked back down at the money, her fingers tracing the edges of the bills. This wasn't just cash. It was a second chance. And deep down, she knew she had to find a way to thank him. Somehow. Emma spent the rest of her shift in a daze. Every time she looked at the stack of bills, disbelief washed over her again. Was this real? Had Barron Trump, the son of the U.S. president, really just given her $10,000? It didn't make sense. Rich people left big tips sometimes, sure, but she hadn't done anything extraordinary. She'd just talked to him, treated him like any other customer. Why had he chosen her? As the clock struck midnight and the last few customers trickled out, Emma made up her mind. She needed to thank him. She couldn't just accept this money and move on like nothing had happened. But how did someone track down Barron Trump? He wasn't exactly listed in the phone book. Her first thought was social media. She scrolled through Twitter and Instagram searching his name, but nothing recent mentioned him. No one had posted about him being at Marlowe's diner. Strange. Then an idea struck her. She rushed to the back of the diner and grabbed her phone, dialing the number of her best friend, Mia, a journalist who had always been obsessed with politics. The phone rang twice before Mia picked up. Emma? It's late, what's up? Emma took a deep breath. I think Barron Trump just left me a $10,000 tip. There was a long pause. Are you drunk? Mia finally asked. Emma groaned. No, I'm serious. He was here, he ordered a burger, and when he left, he wrote me a note and left the money under his plate. Mia's voice sharpened. Wait, Barron Trump? Alone? At your diner? Yes. I swear. Mia was silent for a moment. Then she said something that sent a chill down Emma's spine. That's weird. Emma frowned. Weird how? Because I just read a news article earlier today. Barron Trump is supposed to be in Washington, D.C. with his family. There's a big event at the White House this weekend. If he's here, alone, that means he ran away. Emma's breath caught. Ran away? That explained why he seemed tense. Why he kept glancing at the door. Why Secret Service showed up to take him away. But why would the president's son run away? Emma's heart pounded. If what Mia said was true, then this wasn't just a random act of generosity. Barron Trump had come to Marlowe's diner for a reason. And she needed to find out why. Emma barely slept that night. The idea that Barron Trump had run away from home gnawed at her. The money was life-changing, but the mystery behind it was even bigger. By morning, her phone was buzzing with news alerts. She opened one and felt her stomach twist. Breaking: Barron Trump reportedly missing for several hours, Secret Service finds him safe. The article confirmed it. Barron had slipped away from his security detail the night before. Officials claimed he was never in danger, but they didn't explain why he left or where he had gone. The news didn't mention Marlowe's diner. Emma's thoughts raced. He had come to her diner for a reason. And that note, it wasn't just about the money. She grabbed the check from her bedside table and reread the words. "For your kindness." Check under the plate. There was something else. A gut feeling told her she had missed something. She hurried to the diner and found Frank setting up for the day. "Frank, do we still have Barron's plate from last night?" Frank frowned. "We washed it, but it should be in the stack." Emma darted to the back and rifled through the clean plates. After a minute, her fingers froze on one. A small piece of paper was taped to the bottom. Her pulse spiked. She carefully peeled it off and unfolded it. The handwriting was the same as the note on the check. "I just wanted one normal night. Thank you for not treating me differently." Emma's breath hitched. The meaning sank in. Barron Trump, the son of the most powerful man in the country, had just wanted to be normal for one night. No bodyguards. No expectations. Just a burger in a quiet diner. And she had given him that without realizing it. A lump formed in her throat. She had spent years feeling stuck, thinking her life had no purpose. But last night, for one person, she had made a difference. She knew she would probably never see Barron Trump again. But she also knew she would never forget that night, the night she unknowingly gave someone a moment of freedom. And in return, he had given her a chance at a new life. Emma folded the note carefully, tucked it into her pocket, and wiped away a tear. It wasn't just about the money. It never had been. It was about kindness. And how sometimes the smallest moments could change everything. Pam Bondi was never one to back down from a fight. As the United States Attorney General under President Donald Trump, she had built a reputation for being relentless in her pursuit of justice. Corrupt politicians, white-collar criminals, and power-hungry officials had all fallen before her courtroom prowess. But this case was different. Sitting at her desk in the Justice Department's headquarters in Washington, D.C., she flipped through a thick file filled with evidence. The target? Judge Raymond Caldwell, a respected federal judge known for his influence and deep political connections. On the surface, Caldwell was the picture of judicial excellence, decades of experience, a spotless record, and the kind of charisma that made jurors hang on his every word. But beneath that polished exterior was a web of corruption that had been growing for years. Insider information, bribery, case manipulation. Caldwell had ensured favorable rulings for select individuals in exchange for vast sums of money, and he had covered his tracks masterfully. The case against him had been built in secrecy, gathering testimonies from whistleblowers, banking records, and wiretaps that exposed his illicit dealings. And now Pam Bondi had him cornered. Tomorrow morning she would step into the courtroom to expose him before the nation. She had prepared every word of her argument, every piece of evidence, and had ensured her legal team was ready for battle. But something in her gut told her this wouldn't be easy. There were too many powerful people protecting Caldwell. People who would do anything to stop the truth from coming out. As she closed the file, her phone buzzed. It was Detective Mark Henderson, one of her most trusted allies in the case. "Pam, I don't like this," Henderson's deep voice came through the line. "We got word that Caldwell's people are nervous. If this goes to trial, they might try to stop it by any means necessary." Pam exhaled sharply. She had expected this. Corrupt men never went down without a fight. "Let them try, Mark," she said firmly. "We have the evidence. Tomorrow, the whole country will see the truth." She ended the call, but the unease in her stomach didn't fade. Tomorrow was going to be a battle.